What's going on, party people? In this video, I'm going to tell you the exact same strategies that I used to help grow my first agency, Human Media, from zero to over $550,000 a month in recurring revenue in less than 3 years, specifically talking about client acquisition and how do you build flywheels within your company so that you can grow in momentum. Throughout my experience, momentum is one of the hardest things to find and a harder thing to maintain, but if you do it correctly, it's a very, very powerful tool. So if you want to learn how to grow an agency quickly or grow it correctly without breaking everything, then avoid all the mistakes I made and watch this video to the end. I'm going to talk about flywheels. I'm going to talk about acquisition channels like low ticket, organic, how do you build brand, our sales system, different promotions you can run that worked really, really well for me. Now, I no longer run Human Media. I'm actually, as you can see behind me, I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Bad Marketing. We are multi-site, multi-location agency with over 150 people managing over $12 million a month in ad spend. So needless to say, in the last 4 years, my life has changed dramatically. And so if you want to avoid the mistakes, you want to grow fast, you want to grow profitably, this is an incredible video for you if you're an agency owner. So without further ado, let's jump into the video, and don't be afraid. I look quite different from last year when I gave this talk, but the information is invaluable if you're an agency owner and you want to grow. And so everything is 100% applicable, things that we're doing right now in my new company. And so let's enjoy. Be sure to subscribe if you want more content like this, and have a fantastic day. But today where we're going to be talking about profit flywheels, cash flowing flywheels inside of the business. This is where I spend most of my time. Then building moats around the agency. I think especially today, I mean, you guys already see this. It's so easy to create an agency overnight. Anyone in their mom's basement can use ChatGPT, use some AI creative software tools, buy a 997 course, and now they're an agency. And so how do you start really separating yourself from the others? How do you really start positioning yourself differently and communicating different in the sales process? Then I'm going to show you our agency sales funnels. We really have 3 modes of acquisition for clients right now. I'm going to show you each one. Show you the cons and pros for each one. And then what I think to be actually the secret sauce for you guys, which I think that alone would be really helpful. Big thing about this, I go to a lot of events, and I am fortunate to get to speak at several of them. But what I do think is a failure is our desire for constant blueprints or templates. We already know this as business owners. If you guys have been in business at any amount of time, you already know that the templates don't really work. As a business owner, we have to think in more of principles and directional advice, which is what I'm going to give you here. And then you just got to decide. Really, you could hear all the cool things that Ava does, I do, anyone else does, but you've got to decide what business you want. And realistically, if you don't want the business they have, then it doesn't make sense to apply the information they're telling you. And so even as I show you what I've learned, what our team does, if you don't want my business, it doesn't really matter. So just keeping that in mind. There's a 16-year-old me. Well, actually, at that point, I'm 18, inside of this company called Flash Technologies. Like I said there, 2.3 million a month in sales. And that's pretty much where I learned everything I knew about e-commerce. I ran a lot of the business, the customer service, the warehouse, and then the marketing. And as at this point, 18, I was getting paid a nice crisp $28,000 a year to manage this operation. And I was an entrepreneur before I knew what entrepreneurship was. I would stay up all day working, running the warehouse, and then I'd stay up all night because our partners were in China. So I'd be communicating with them on what products to send, things like that. And so really nice, cool plot twist story. Nick's a woman pleads guilty to $80 million in counterfeit scheme. That was the company. That was my first case study. So super interesting. Apparently about 3 years later after I left, they had got raided by the FBI. And so this is one of my coolest case studies because I really built all of it, but I was a minor, so all good. There's a little kid me. I know I look 12 now, but I did look younger. So after that company, I was the director of marketing for another e-commerce store company for a very limited amount of time. But I learned a different side of strategy and risk mitigation. Flash Tech, the cell phone company, any idea I had, they were making so much money. Honestly, the owner was probably not a great business owner, but any idea I had, it was like, let's try it. Let's try it yesterday. And so I tried everything I could think of. This next company, they were a successful business. They were doing about $6 million a year, but the owner was completely different, right? He was very risk adverse. And so any idea I had, it was like, great, let's put together a 6-month plan of how we can roll it out. And so I learned a lot there, but ultimately was crazy bored and hated my life. And actually, I never wanted to be a business owner or a marketer anyway. I wanted to be a pastor. And so I had moved from there to New Orleans, where I was going to be a pastor for a church. And while I was there, I was working at Verizon in retail sales. If you've ever been in retail sales, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's terrible, but you learn a lot about people and how to communicate with people in a physical way. And so I was working there. And then eventually I became a digital marketing manager for an agency in Seattle and got to manage some very large spend accounts there. And that's where the bulk of my big spend experiences come from. Then from there was this company called Traffic and Funnels, which some of you might have heard of, but it's an online consulting firm, helps coaches, consultants, service providers learn how to get clients organically or using social media, which is a lot of what I'm talking to you about today. But I started as an unpaid intern there, worked my way up into director of marketing and advertising. And at the height of it, I was managing about $500,000 a month in ad spend from me at a 400% return. And I learned a lot about marketing. I was running all the emails, writing the sales pages, building the funnels, all the things. So I got a lot of insight and understanding of how do you create high-ticket clients from social media. Then essentially I became so good apparently because we started hiring other agencies and other advertisers to come in and try to beat me. And I don't like competition. And so I just wiped the floor with them. And eventually they got pissed because it was like, Ashton, you can't be the only one that always wins. You have to learn how to train other people how to do what you do. And so I started building out a little bit of a training regimen at that company, built a marketing team around me. And then essentially I had to leave the company in 2020. Had to move back home to Missouri. Family was having some health stuff. I have 2 boys. So I moved there, and then starting an agency was just kind of, for me, a natural next step. People would always ask me to run their ads. I just said no, so it was just a matter of saying yes. And we had some pretty rocket ship-like growth. I think we hit like 115K in monthly recurring revenue in like 86 days of starting the agency. It was kind of a breakneck, I don't know what's happening, let's just try to do this stuff and keep making money. And so I kept making a lot of mistakes, but our first year we did 1.2, our second year we did 3.2, third year is 6.1, and then we're finally on our 4th year. Right now we should do around 8. I think we're actually gonna pull back the growth and actually grow profit, which I did not do last year. And then staff, we grew pretty quickly again. 13 staff first year, 28 the second, 43 the third, and now we're actually pulling back to 32, which actually feels really, really good. I think, side caveat note, I, as a founder, oftentimes forgot size with strength. Size is not strength. Strength is strength. Specifically in business, money is strength. And so I made that mistake. We're pulling back now. And then what we essentially created was we have really 3 different companies within our company. So I have the Heman Group, and then Heman Media, which is our agency. We have Heman X, which is just a training program for advertising and media buying. And then Staffing, which is recruiting and placement. I'll stop here just because it's going to tie into the next phase here. Actually, let me just go into the next phase. So, profit flywheels within a company. Does anyone not know what a flywheel is?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who are your customers?
Great question. So right now in our agency, I would say it's about 60% info, lead generation type of companies, coaches, consultants, online course creators, 40% e-commerce. We have a few clients that are very large in the SaaS side, like the ClickFunnels and Voomly and Toonlys of the world that are our clients, but they're just kind of like, because we took their best customers and made them clients, they wanted to work with us.
And then when you tell us about the structure, are you monthly? Are you quarterly? Like, what's your...
We're monthly recurring retainers. We have 4-month contracts, and then typically our retainers will cover up to a certain amount of spend and then have percentages of spend. So 8K retainer covers up to 100K in ad spend, then 8% of anything beyond it.
So you're pretty traditional.
Pretty traditional, pretty easy. Yep, 100%. Main thing is paid media, and we have creative and email, but paid media is 80% of everything we do. Cool. Anyone not know what a flywheel is? Awesome. Smart room. Well, now it's stopping, so maybe we are talking about flywheels.
Try it again.
There we go. So if you didn't know, I was going to explain through Amazon, but since you guys already know, great. What I wanted to do was essentially as a company, we were growing really fast, and our biggest constraint to growth was always team, hiring people that don't just suck either, because that just ruins everything. And I hold a very high standard of excellence for our reputation and the work that we do. And so as we are growing, I made the mistake that I think probably a lot of you have made as well, where I was like, okay, I'll just pay for the talent. I'll go out to the agencies that I know that are really good. I'll hire and poach their top people, pay them a crap ton of money, and that's how we keep quality really, really great. I did that, and it was terrible. And so I realized that I couldn't just pay for the talent. I had to, for me at least at the point, I felt like I needed to train the talent. And so what I had done was I had created this internal program to where, okay, I'm gonna hire someone that has the right character traits, is a good culture fit, has some experience, but maybe it's just not to the level of experience that I have. Well, I'll hire that person, I'll put them through this program, and then I'll let them run my client accounts. And so I started doing that, and it started working really, really well. And eventually, we were growing so much, and people kept asking me like, hey, could you consult our team? Or, hey, I don't want to work with an agency, but could I pay you for some hours? And it just didn't work for me. And so I was like, well, I have this thing inside of my company that I've been using for my team. Maybe it works for yours. You can just put them through it, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And it started actually working really well. And then eventually, it was like, okay, I guess this could be another company. We have this training program, which is what HumanX is. It's just my internal training program. And so that started doing really well. But then we started getting clients that would come in to learn ads on their own. Their companies would start growing, and they were running the ads from our program. And then they would be like, well, I need to now be a CEO. Could you just go find someone, put them through your program, and then give them to me? Well, that started the idea of going, okay, well, I wonder if there's actually a spinoff here. What if there's another business here? Because then the next thing I was realizing was, at the time, we were about 2 years in, and we hadn't spent any money on client acquisition. It was all just reputation, word of mouth. But we were spending about $20,000 a month on headhunting, interviews, Indeed ads, LinkedIn ads, just because we were always hiring someone. And so I was like, okay, well, I wonder if I could get other people to pay me just to keep doing this. Because the growth of our agency, and as you guys probably already know, the growth for most of your agencies is the quality of your team. How good are they? And so we spun up human staffing beginning of last year. And so that's kind of really where our offer dynamics have started to kick in. The reason I talk about this is because inside of your business, every single one of you are doing things that people, A, don't know, or B, you're not charging for. And there's an insane amount of data that you have from that. But what are you actually doing with the data? And that's where really the profit flywheels in our business has really started to kick off, because what we really want in our flywheel in a super basic sense is we want businesses to work with human media, right? That's what we want. We want more customers. But because of that, Human attains experience running successful ad campaigns. The more great brands that work with us, the more experience we get, right? Very common, very easy. But then it's like, okay, well then what are we doing with the insights we're actually getting from those paid traffic campaigns that we're running? The successes that we have, or even the losses. How are we actually going to monetize that experience and time that we're getting outside of the money that the client is actually paying us? And so with that, we transfer that into HumanX and human staffing, right? We train other marketers, what we're learning, what we're doing. It's up to date. It's not just a course, but it's a way that we can take the wins or the losses and compile them into a way that we can monetize as a company. But when we do that, we naturally just gain bigger brand reputation as dominant marketers in the space, right? Because you either have brands who are hiring people from us, you have brands that are putting people through trainings from us, or we have trainings that are just out there in the world that we're selling, which builds our brand, and now we get clients coming back into us because they just see us everywhere. I also wanted to create a company to where no matter what, someone could pay me money, right? Great, you're a brand owner? Oh, you don't like agencies? Cool, well, do you have a team? Cool, you should have them trained by Human. Oh, you don't want to work with agencies, but you don't have a team, you need to build one. Great, you can hire Human staffing. Oh, you have a brand, oh, you have an agency. Great, now you can work with Human Media. I just wanted to create situations where no matter what, they could tree themselves into a way of paying us money, building reputation and brand, which overall brings more brands to work with Human Media. So for you guys, the biggest thing is just start thinking about what are you getting access to every month that you're just not doing anything with. If you're a creative shop, how can you take the insights of how many creatives that you've actually launched? How can you start documenting it? If you're a data company or an email company, can you start figuring out what flows are working or what flows aren't working, or what your best emails are, or what best time sends you have? what can you do with that stuff? It's the sawdust theory, essentially. What can you do with the excess of what you're already getting paid to do? So, simple terms, just in case you don't know and you want to go back later and start thinking about yours, it just simply goes, what do you want? What do you get? What do you do with what you get? And how does your doing give you more of what you want? Super simple, super easy. I'll come back towards the end too if you guys have questions. Pretty simple stuff though. All right, what you do with what you get. This is the building the moat around your agency. So right now it's getting pretty complicated, it's pretty convoluted, there's a lot of competitors out there. Yep.
Actually, do you mind just, before you jump on to the next topic, in 3 years, you basically built like 3 different businesses. That's like an insane undertaking.
Well, what I didn't talk about was actually last year I acquired another business that had over 100 staff. That traffic and funnels company,
Yeah.
I came back and took ownership of it.
So then...
It was a nightmare, by the way, don't do that.
So when you do that, or essentially when you're like, hey, we're going to start building this training program, we're going to start offering staffing. Can you just give me a little bit of the idea of the nitty gritty, like how that goes down? Like, were you just like, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to go hire somebody that's great that's going to build that program? Or you're like, I have ideas to run it?
Yeah.
Like,
so the cool part is at least in Heman, what I did with the traffic and funnels company was a huge distraction, huge mistake. But the cool thing about this was that they weren't actually distractions, right? Because the more time I actually put into the trainings of the program itself, the better actually my internal teams at Heman Media performed because now they're getting better trained. In staffing, it was like, it's kind of a distraction, but not necessarily because I'm already doing all of the hiring. We're already doing all of these applications, all of these interviews. Now I'm just getting other people to pay me to keep doing it and doing it at a bigger scale. But it's now allowing me to make sure that I can take the best talent that we come across and bring them into my agency. And so it was like, okay, this is a new company idea, but realistically, like when we launched HemanX, it was just a soft launch. Put it on socials, put it on our email list. Does anyone want this? We got 10 people to pay us 10 grand, 100 grand, cool. Could we just put that money back into ads and see if more people want it in the broader sense? Well, that's what we did, and then it kept working. So they were just kind of spin-offs of like, when we're thinking of a flywheel, the whole point of a flywheel is that each thing that you do drives momentum for the next. Yeah. And so even in the companies or the brand side, let's say the HemanX is the top of funnel, the top of the flywheel. It's like the more people that go through our trainings get value from it, that means the more exposure and brand promise that we have, which actually then drives higher talented marketers to my company, which then from that allows us to acquire bigger brands and better brands because they see the talent pool that we have. And the more bigger brands that we have, the more people that want to learn from our trainings. So it just all fed each other.
Will you break down the current revenue split between the 3?
Sure. So for Heman Media is the agency is the 550. Right now, recruiting and staffing is very small. It's like 120 to 130, give or take 20 grand a month. And then HemanX right now, we actually shut down all marketing for that. And right now it's just trickling in from the people who aren't a fit for staffing. And so right now that's like 40 to 50K a month.
Okay, so you're still not 80 to 95% is still paid media work.
Yep. That's our strongest company. Yeah. Hopefully it flips this year though. I want staffing to take off. That's a delicious industry. Yeah.
As the chief bottleneck officer of the firm, I have found, people come to us and say, oh, it would be great if you could train our staff, or how do you even train new people? Did you come up, so training sounds like a great business for any of us who are experts at what we do. Did you create the training program yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I created the 1.0 and 2.0 versions of HemanX. I created all of the trainings, which again, it was a lot of work. So anyone who's thinking about it, it takes a lot of work because literally what you're doing is synthesizing how your gut works, which is very difficult. It's not just do X, Y, Z thing, because that's not valuable at all. But it took me a long time, and I had the benefit of when I was at Traffic and Funnels, they started that thing of you've got to figure out how to train other people to do what you do. And so I did it at a small scale there, where I kind of got the core concepts. It took 6 to 7 months, realistically. In Heman Media, it took the entire first year of the company. And I was lucky enough to have 2 media buyers that were good at what they did and didn't need hand-holding. But the training, building all of that out took about a year. But it is kind of one of those things of it's just my internal company onboarding process that I happen to just monetize. So hopefully you guys are doing this stuff anyway. You should already have all your stuff SOP'd out in trainings that people are going through. Now you're just getting paid to make it better. Does that answer it? Oh, yeah.
So you're building Heman, the training version, and during year one, while you're also accumulating 2.3 in revenue.
Yeah.
And then you write the book that follows the training process, and then you get on the speaker circuit. And suddenly
Right. So, and that's kind of the cool part. And that's a bigger thing I want you guys to think about is, man, even in the markets themselves, like if you guys work with e-commerce brands today, you already see that influencers and micro influencers and just personal brands are starting to be what people rely on and buy from, especially the younger generations. It's the same thing with your companies. I hate being in front of a camera. Like, it's not my thing, but it's also like becoming my obligation to the company to be something like that. Now, that's a part of a mechanism, which I'm gonna actually break into here. So we'll jump in. All right, hopefully you guys know this if you're in direct response, The 5 Stages of Sophistication by Eugene Schwartz. If you don't, does anyone not? It's okay if you don't. Cool, not everyone's in, okay, great. So, one of my favorite marketers of all time, Eugene Schwartz, he talks about how markets have different stages of sophistication and they have different states of awareness, right? States of awareness has to do with the market's understanding of where they're currently at, right? Do they understand their problem, their solution, the products that exist out there? Sophistication, however, is what basically says this is where the market is at as far as other advertisements or other competitors that they know of, right? And so he says that there's 5 stages to every market. Stage 1 is you're brand new, right? So think when electric vehicles really came out, you don't have to say your brand, you don't have to say anything cool about electric, you just have to say all new electric vehicle. And everyone bought, right? There's no competitors out there. They're not getting said anything else to them. Stage 2 is when you're like second, right? This is Tesla, right? We had heard of electric stuff before, but Tesla really was the thing that came in and shocked the market in a bigger way. And so all they really had to say is like Tesla's all new electric vehicle, right? They didn't have to go anything else really extreme. Stage 3 is when market has heard all the claims, right? So this is when the market is hearing from your competitors, they're hearing about how cool things are, and you have to start coming up with more unique ways to describe your product or service or company that actually make yourself stand out, right? So like this is random stuff like even Tesla in doing the biohazard air filtration system, right? Like this is just random stuff that they're adding in to make them sound different, make them sound unique. Stage 4 is from promises to mechanism, right? So this is when the market, it's no longer of going, hey, you can go 300 miles on a charge, or hey, you can go 500 miles on a charge. Those are claims, but now it's like, what is the thing that actually makes you say that makes you unique, right? Whether it's a new ion infusion battery that makes you support the claim. In that stage of market, you have to really find the things that make you unique, right? And stage 5 is when it's dead, right? The market literally doesn't care. This is why in Axe body spray commercials, they don't give a rip about the actual smell of the cologne. It's like once you spray it, hordes of women will come after you, right? It's like completely changed. It's not even about the product. It's just about sex, right? Which is the easiest thing to do in marketing. If they don't care about the product, just figure out a way to add some sex in there, and now the market cares. So that's stage 5. Where we are currently at is mostly stage 4 or stage 5 as agencies, as service providers. There's so many out there, so we've got to figure out a way to communicate ourselves that sounds really, really unique, which means creating a moat. So a moat is essentially the mechanism of your business. The mechanism just stands for the reason why you're unique, the reason why your process is better, more efficient than anyone else. And so essentially what I like to describe to people as is like your moat is the mechanism. The bigger your mechanism or the more clear your mechanism is, the more protected you actually are, right? If you think about yourself, it's like the customer base is that castle. And everyone around it trying to fight, those are competitors. And the only way you're actually going to protect your market share, your place in the market, is by having a really big moat, right? It's just kind of like a lot of us are really, honestly, if we're truthful, we're on the left. I mean, our moats are tiny, right? We talk about some maybe small proprietary process, or your biggest moat is your client history, right? It's just your portfolio. And you're leaning on that to actually gain your sales. But we've got to get to a place where our moats are much, much bigger. And that's how you actually, A, get more customers in the door, but B, that's actually just how you keep them, and that's how you communicate yourself to be better. And so the bigger the moat we can actually have, the better. So essentially, in the definition term, a mechanism is a person, method, or technology that actually allows you to fulfill on the claim or promise, okay? So there's really three forms of mechanisms. There's first the person, right? And this is where I started as an agency owner. I was the special thing, right? And it was just my personal brand. It was my reputation as an advertiser. And for some of you, maybe this is where you're at as well, is that you're kind of the person driving sales. This is also why you have to take all the sales calls and you can't pass it off to someone else, because you're the it factor for your agency. And because it's not something else, you're technically the mechanism, which is a weak one. And this is where we started. So the someone is unique. This is either like a creator, this is an innovator, or this is an influencer, right? This is why e-commerce stores love this stuff, because their product, their CBD brand is just like every other CBD brand, but no one else has Gronkowski as their influencer. You know what I mean? So that's the first form of mechanism. The second form, this is where my agency is currently at, and we're trying to improve to technology, but this is where we currently are. It's where essentially you have a proprietary method or a process positioned to bring you a unique ability to fulfill on the claim that you're actually doing, right? So example, in HumanX, one of the things that we had to figure out was like, how do we describe our unique way at running advertising, right? Like, how do we actually do that? We call them phases internally. Phases doesn't sound sexy. At the time, what was sexy was crypto. So it was like, the way we run things are decentralized, where we help people create accounts in a way that where it's not all centralized on one campaign performing, and if one goes down, their whole revenues go down. We're decentralized. So we mechanized our process as decentralized account structures, right? It's just marketing, that's all it is. But we had to make the process that we ran campaigns feel unique, right? If I'm talking to a prospect on the phone, and it's like, how do you guys do what you do, or why do you do what you do? Well, first we decentralize your account structure. That way you don't have a single point of failure. That way, if you've ever launched campaigns and it went down the next day, or did really well for a week and it crashed, it's because it's not decentralized. Everything's failing on the counts of one or two campaigns. So we build it differently. Now leaving that call, how do you compare me to the next agency? Like, unless they literally say, we don't decentralize your ad accounts, there's no way to compare. And so we're creating that ability to where now they can't compare it to others. Now it's just a matter of, do they want our proprietary process or do they not? It's not they do Facebook ads and they do Facebook ads. No, we're completely different because our process is now mechanized and now it's unique in your head, right? So hopefully, as I'm saying that, you can kind of like think of what you guys do differently. And even if it's not different, if you do the same thing that other people do, you have to position it differently. Because they're just going to compare you to every other shop that they've interviewed if you just say the same language, right? So this is where we're currently at. We have unique sequence of events, or it's a combination, right? So do you have a combination of different things that you do that provide for a different result, right? So think either ingredients or the order at which you put in the ingredients, right? If you're thinking of baking a cake, the order that you put it in actually matters. And so for you, it's even if you have the same ingredients as everyone else, do you have a different way that you do it that could allow you to be unique? And that could be your mechanism. But ultimately, if we all want to make the big bucks, we've got to get to technology, right? You have to use a scientific knowledge or a practical purpose. And this could either be assistive, which is what AI, everyone's talking about AI now. This is what that is. It's assistive to your efforts, or it's adaptive, or it's independent. Independent is where you make really good money because people want to buy that. But technology as a mechanism has to be how we get our agencies to it if we want to make a lot of money, we want to exit, or just be really, really unique. Because if you have a software or you have a SaaS of some kind that helps you facilitate your ability to serve clients, there's really no way they could ever compare that to any other competitor that you have, because you're the only person with that technology. But everyone might have their own method, and everyone might just be a person. But if you have a technology, that's very hard to beat. Cool. I think there's probably going to be questions on this one, so feel free to write those down. We will come back. Eugene Schwartz says, make it easier, quicker, or surer. Allow it to solve more of the problem than your competitors, overcome old limitations, and promise extra benefits. So the bigger line here is the more you can make things feel easier, quicker, and surer as you're speaking to prospects, that's the better mechanism. So I think one thing I see people make a mistake on is as they create mechanisms, they go way overboard. They go like really complex, really technical. Your only goal for your mechanism is to make it feel easier, quicker, and surer. That's all you're trying to do in the prospect's mind, right? So you don't want to sound too crazy. In the beginning of the decentralized account structures, we kind of made that mistake, right? Because decentralized, we can get super technical and break everything down and show them this big map of their campaigns. The biggest goal and what we realized was all that our prospects actually cared about was, could we have a process that allows them to have less up and down weeks where they can feel like there's a little bit more consistency, and does it feel like we have a process that gives us control, right? And so that's what we just started focusing on. In the beginning, we got super technical, right? But all you're trying to figure out is, how can I make it easier, quicker, and surer in their minds, and that's it. That's all they care about. All right, agency sales funnel. How am I doing on time? How much time do we got? Roger, 10 hours, let's go. All right, so we have a kind of a holistic approach when it comes to marketing right now for acquisitions. We have 3 real avenues that we try to bring in clients on. The quickest sales cycle is straight to application. And what I mean by all of these, the top 2, these are all running paid media. So this would be Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, TikTok, doesn't matter. Facebook is our best one right now for client acquisition by far. TikTok has got the cheapest leads, but the quality is so up and down lately. So Facebook's been our best one. But the biggest thing here is direct to application. We used to do VSL case study webinar funnels, which essentially just means they go from an ad, they go to a landing page, they opt in for a training or a case study, they go to the video page. On the video, we explain the case study, and then it's like, hey, would you like to book a call? And then they can book a call into our sales process. But what we have found by and far, direct to application or direct to call has been the quickest, most efficient, and we're getting the people who, if we're going back to Eugene Schwartz, are at the state 4 of their awareness, which means they know there's a problem, they know there's a solution, they might even know the competitors, and they just want to roll. Are we good? Are we not? Are we ready to pay? Are we not? The further out you go, like this is, a lot of people use lead magnets or trainings, things like that. The further out you go, you just have to know that you're probably extending your sales cycle, okay? Because you're going after people who need the nurturement to actually make a purchase decision. And so for us, direct to application, direct to call means that we're calling out the brands who are ready to go right now. They know they have a problem. All they have to do is, do they trust us? If so, great, they're gonna give us money. We can move on with their day. Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt, but so that's essentially one where you're just like slinging a Facebook ad at them and then sending them straight to your landing page, and the landing page book call.
Exactly, yep.
So it's the low-hanging fruit people, bottom of funnel, I need a solution yesterday.
Exactly, yep.
You are paying for every lead that comes off your phone.
Absolutely. Except for option number 2, which is gonna be fun.
How much are you spending?
As an agency, see, the agency right now is super low, like 10 grand a month. Staffing is where we spend most of our money, and that's like 35, 40 grand a month.
So you're spending $55,000 a month on paid media.
Yep.
To drive $6-ish million in revenue.
Yep. This is the fun part. Number 2, that's my favorite. Low ticket funnels. This is what every single one of you should be doing right now. Low ticket funnels. This is from the info space, right? So, Jose, I know you know this really well. So essentially what this is you want to drive traffic to a training, right? And you want to make sure that this training would be solving a problem that you know your clients or your best clients have, okay? So if it's e-commerce, their return customer rate might suck, right? Or if it's ads, 20 minutes left, cool. So if it's ads, really for us, it's like, okay, scaling. E-commerce stores, or really any store right now, or any brand that is great partners for us, it's like they're spending already like $30 to $40 or $50,000 a month, and they're trying to go to 100 to 200K. We're really, really good at scale and ad spend. And so we'll create a training essentially around that problem. And then essentially what we're doing is we're gonna drive traffic to the sales page for the training. It's a $49 training or it's a $97 training, right? Inside of that, after they purchase that initial product, we're going to offer them more training, right? It's always in funnels, it's always sell them what you're gonna sell them more of what they bought, and then sell them the most complementary item or product, right? So what's the next problem they have? So in ads, right, it might be, I'm gonna show you how to do market research, launch and test your campaigns in 0 to 10 days, and to start seeing scale. That was one of our products that we did, test to scale. On the upsell, it's going to be, but now do you wanna know about how to train and actually scale those campaigns beyond the initial testing phase? Because now it's just more of what they got. Then on the next upsell, it's going to be creative, right? Because now we've opened up a new gap. Now we've showed you that you're gonna be able to learn how to scale your ad campaigns, but the biggest thing that any scale really needs is knowing good creative and creating good creative. So now we're gonna sell you that product. The goal, the only real goal of the funnel itself is to liquidate your ad spend. Can I make the AOV high enough to cover the cost it's going to be to acquire the customer, right? So for example, I pulled our numbers from December to March, and we spent $110,000 on ads, mostly Facebook, like 95% Facebook ads. Our revenue on the front end, just from the funnel itself, not meaning back-end sales or anything like that, we made $114,000, not $142,000. So that means we made a little money. Hey, cool, we made $2,000, amazing. Oh, $4,000, cool. We got 1,000, just about 1,000 customers out of it, and then we've pulled so far 32 back-end sales, not counting recurring, but just from those contract values, the first month payment, $162,000. Which means now we're 250% off the front end, not counting the contracts that come from it. And so that is my favorite source of acquisition because a couple things. One, we're profitable, obviously, so that's great. If I could spend infinitely and just get my revenue on day zero to cover the cost for me to get that lead and that potential customer down the road, totally worth it, right? We'd spend $1 million a day. But then the next big thing, the next real two things is one, the back-end sales that come from it. Lead to sale time on this funnel, low ticket, is about 45 days. Okay, so direct application, it's about 3 to 21, averages around 11 days, direct application. But low ticket's about 45-day average, which means I'm just gonna have to be willing to spend money today and not get it back for 45 days. But because our low ticket funnel is liquidating itself, I'm actually getting that money back today. I just don't get the big sale until 45 days from now. The third and final thing that we love about it is brand building. So the big whales out there are not necessarily buying these products. We're getting mostly mid-sized companies from these products, right? You're not gonna have the owner of some massive bank go, let me buy this low ticket training on Facebook ads. It's not happening. But what we are seeing is that it's building up our brand in a big way because they're constantly seeing us in their newsfeed. There's a cool tool, I don't actually have it in this presentation, but Tom and I were talking about it last night. I was like, oh, I probably should have included that. So we use Zoom Info for our staffing company. If you don't know what it is, essentially it's a big data aggregator. I think Salesforce bought them recently or something like that. So you can buy them and essentially, one, you get access to a lot of cool cold lead lists. You can segment almost any kind of company that you're looking for can produce that. But what we've loved about it is that you can put the tracking code on your websites and it'll tell you what companies are coming to your websites, how much time they're spending on it, what pages they're going to. And then they have an extension called Engage that essentially that you can add into it. And when you go to that company's website, it'll pull up their leadership team, essentially, their personal phone numbers, their emails, all of it. So what we've been seeing is that the more we've been running low ticket ads, the more bigger $100 million, billion-dollar companies are coming to our website and spending time with us. And we believe it's because they're constantly seeing us in those types of ads. And then they're going to check us out. So then my team will go through and Engage, figure out what companies are doing it, go to the website, find a leadership team, and then they're outreaching to the CMOs or the marketing leadership to see why they were on our website.
It seems counterintuitive that Facebook would be a place to sell business ads, but you and someone else here may also have experience with that. Is that where people are, or does it go to LinkedIn too? Or?
Yep, you can do LinkedIn. LinkedIn is mixed for us. Organic on LinkedIn is much better than paid. By far, the CPMs are still expensive. I think LinkedIn will become a good platform in the next 2 to 3 years, but organic is where it's at on LinkedIn. And like you said, that's the most important thing. Like, even we're advertisers, right? It's like we advertise where the people are, right? Is the Super Bowl a great place to sell a lot of this stuff? No, but it's brand and that's where people are and the most eyes are. So that's where we want to be. But I would say that there is a lot more people that use Facebook for business than we think. It's a lot of people.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because Facebook is a good platform for you guys because you're training them on how to use Facebook for their direct consumer business.
No, I mean, it is, but
there's a lot of B2B people on Facebook. Facebook is still really being used a lot by people in their 40s.
Every kind of D2C or even just agency, it should be advertising on Facebook. It's 2.2 billion active monthly users. It still has the lion's share of all social media usership and repeat usership every day. And so that's the reason why I like Facebook. Google.
That's where the people are. I mean,
Yeah.
Just curiosity, where are you spending your money?
I don't even diversify. We do other platforms organically, 100%. We make 250 to 300K in close projects a month.
Yeah.
We don't even go on the other platforms because CPLs are too good on Facebook right now for the best business.
Yeah.
And just to give you perspective, is when I was running my company, and again, I had a CMO in place, and we were generating between 70 to 100 million a year. I understood who were the hottest marketers and our agencies that were out there that I had a perception of based on the content they were producing and the ads that then popped up for me that they were doing. And then if they had an info product, I do it and I give it to my CMO. And it created this awareness. And again, I was just doing it because it was popping up on my Facebook or my Instagram feed.
Yeah.
So we've had the opposite experience in hardcore B2B.
In what?
Hardcore B2B. So I do supply chain only, heavy industrial. We don't touch a consumer.
Yep.
Consumers are very far away from us.
Yep.
And we've tried this and it doesn't. Facebook does not work for us. LinkedIn
Yeah.
organic and LinkedIn paid.
That's an easy explanation, right? It's like why, you can't really target industrial C-suite executive. LinkedIn you can,
Yeah.
right? So it does matter who your customer base is. The biggest thing is just where can you reach those people? For me, where my stuff is like Shopify or it's info space, so I can just go target Tony Robbins. And it's like, cool, my target market is in there. Industrial C-suite executive, I don't even really know what those people like. You know what I mean? They don't like life, clearly, so.
They're all right. They got a lot of
100%, I wish I could target that. You could before Cambridge Analytica, and then that all went
I
away.
got a good story about that. It's mostly on LinkedIn. Okay.
But yeah, final one, and then I think we'll open up because I'm sure there are questions. But final one, what I believe to be the most undervalued traffic source is organic marketing. Like Tom said, you don't pay anything for this, except obviously if you have a team that is managing this stuff for you, but the cost associated to it is so infinitesimally small that every single owner here, if you have an agency, you need to be in the face, you should be doing organic marketing. Lead to close is unknown. Namely just because you don't know what videos these guys are really watching unless they engage with some kind of CTA. But I cannot tell you how many times I've been on a call with a prospect or I've got a deal and it's because they're like, oh, I saw you in this video recently, or oh, I loved that thing, or oh, I've got 2 dogs too. Like it's all of this stuff that's making that connection that's absolutely massive. And it's never been easier to get eyeballs on organic paid media from the launch of TikTok. Because now every other channel and platform is going, how do we be like TikTok? Because they want to be it. And so they're allowing more reach. This is an example, last 90 days, and I think I'm terrible at organic. I think Eddie, who is the other guy, he does a way better job than I do. But in the last 90 days alone, 3.1 million non-follower reaches, right? Meaning people who don't even follow me, but Instagram and TikTok is, well, actually this was just Instagram, it's not including my other channels. But they're going, oh, this content is cool. We think this person that doesn't even follow you, we should show it to them. That's just from that alone, right? So if you assume, let's say assume a $10 CPM, which most people are paying more than $10 CPMs, but let's assume a $10 CPM, that is $31,000 in ads that I did not pay for, that my content is being put in front of people that could become a customer because I posted a 15-second video. It's something that you really, really, really got to take in hand. Right now, all you really want to focus on is value entertaining content. You want about, honestly about 70 to 80% of your content to not be about business stuff. It's stuff that you just like to do. If you like golfing, if you like sewing, if you like arts and crafts, or if you're a mom, it's stuff like that that the mass markets will like and see. And essentially how the algorithms work is they will use the content that has the ability to go viral. And they will send it out to a marketplace. And if people engage with that type of content, they will retarget them with your other content. And so the goal is that about 70 to 80% of your content is the engaging stuff people on a mass scale would enjoy. And then the people who connect with that, then your 20%, your 30% of the videos that are more expert-based, industry-based, mastery-based, they'll see that content. And so that's really how you want to form it. And then really right now, my organic schedule is 3 times a week on Facebook as far as copy, 5 times minimum on IG, YouTube, and TikTok, in Facebook Watch, short form videos. And then essentially the new targets that we're adding in now is 3 times per day minimum on Twitter, 1 times a weekly long form YouTube video, because YouTube, I think, is the most valuable platform on the market today as far as content. but almost no one is doing anything with it. And the people who are making a crap ton of money. I've literally seen agencies that like a year ago were nothing and are now like 250, 300K a month. It's like, what are you doing? YouTube. That's it. A video a week. And it's just by posting organic. That's it. It's absolutely maddening. And I'm kind of pissing myself. Then 5 times a week on LinkedIn. Like we talked about earlier, I think LinkedIn is an incredible organic marketing tool for business owners. I think the paid is kind of weak. Right now, in-mail is better than any feed ads that I'm seeing. But their organic is crazy because they're really trying to build the platform as far as organic. So they're giving you a lot of reach on LinkedIn right now.
Are you doing all that yourself? So you're sitting down, you don't have like a ghostwriter, right? You're sitting down and literally churning out posts.
Twitter, ghostwriter. Facebook, mixed. I'd say 60% me, 60% or 40% one of my copywriters. IG, in like all the short form videos, those are hooked, categorized, and researched by my team. I just hop in one day a week and go, read the article, cool, here's my thoughts. They gave me 5 hooks to do, and we just give it to an editor to edit it. You can find these people for like $2,000 a month, and they'll do 60 videos. It's crazy, and so it's like the cost is nothing. If you get one client, it pays for your entire year of content, right? So yeah, those are the plans there. Secret sauce, I'm gonna run through this because I know I'm almost out of time. Secret sauce, 3 keys. 1, consistent sales team meetings. I didn't do this for a long time. If you have a sales team, you've got to meet with them daily. Don't do it every other day or twice a week. It has to be daily. Those people just need that constant communication. And I hate it because I'm not that guy, but they need it. We do projections inside of our company. So some people like that, some people don't. It's worked really well for me. We do monthly, weekly, daily projections, meaning when we get to the projection part of the call, this was my projection for the week. I'm currently at this projection. There's no alterations to my projection. And the biggest goal and what I'm looking for is their guts to be tuned, right? If you tell me there's gonna be 5 sales this week, I expect 5 sales. I don't care if you adjust projection down to 2 sales, but I expect whatever the projection you're giving me to be the thing that actually happens. There's a big distinction. We don't say goals. We hate goals in our company. There's projections. What are you telling me I can count on? And then frequently updating the script and objection handling. I didn't do this for a long time. I wasted so much money in the beginning of the company because I forgot that like, oh yeah, people can't think like me and they might actually need a script and know how to overcome objections. So actually making sure that you're doing that, but then also refreshing it. Honestly, at least twice a year, ideally quarterly, you're refreshing those scripts and those objection handlings. Meeting outline, every morning at 8:30 we meet. We do wins and gratitude right off. Then we shout out on numbers, who did well, who missed it, whatever. Role plays on situations they're running into, then projection, confirmation, updates, then action items for the day. This would be where our SDR, who calls our leads or our customers, is telling us, can I get this list created or can I get this segment given to me? Things like that. Number 2, you guys will love this. This will probably be worth the entire thing. Innovation in agency operations and fulfillment. This is absolutely something that you have to do as an agency owner. If we do not innovate our processes and we rely on what we did 2 years ago or a year ago, we will die. This industry moves way too fast, especially if you're in digital. If you're in digital, it's constantly changing. So we had to find a way to really, how do we consistently update SOPs and trainings? So I no longer had to. And this was the big thing for us. So we implemented 2 days at our company, Demo Day and Innovation Day. Essentially what I wanted to do was force innovation to be in a constant frame of mind for our team. So every month they'll have a Demo Day. Essentially, this day is where each department meets individually, okay? So creative with creative, copy with copy, media buyers with media buyers, whatever. They have their own meeting by team. On that call, every single person, one by one, will have a 10 to 15 minute presentation on something they did in the last 30 days that helped move our company forward. This could be a process change, a strategy that worked, just something they cut out, anything that made them or our clients better results. Then they have that time to present it, and they do it on a slide deck, like a normal presentation, right? After that call, essentially, what they will do is the leaders of that team or the department heads will figure out who had the best thing that they brought, who had the best presentation. Those leaders then bring those things, those one thing that they want to bring to the company to Innovation Day. Innovation Day, I believe, second Tuesday of every month, where the entire company comes together, and then the leaders of those departments share what they got from Demo Day, the top presentation. I love this for a couple reasons. One, it got the company constantly thinking about what are we bringing to demo day? What are we bringing to innovation day? So they had a little bit of pressure of going, if we're doing the same stuff and we're not getting better results, we've got to change. The second thing though, is on demo day, it gave everyone a platform to speak, to feel like they had a chance to give value to the rest of the team and the other people to shout them out. Then moving to Innovation Day, what I've loved is that one, it gave my leaders a platform to brag on their teams publicly throughout the rest of the company, but also to show the excitement of their department innovating something, right? And then essentially from Innovation Day, me and the leadership will decide who had the best presentation or who had most value, and then that person, whoever created that strategy, will get an incentive. Sometimes $300. One time it was a watch, one time it was a purse. We just find random things that we like. It could be something simple like a staycation. Find an Airbnb, book it out for them and their family. But the goal was, how do I get other people to drive innovation? And then have information for once flow up in the company, come to me, and then now we're using that stuff that they bring as far as innovation, creating new SOPs for the company, but now I get to put it into Human X, which is now part of the flywheel. So now I have other people consistently building value in my other company. Final one, offer testing and innovation. I think this is super important. I think I'm over time, guys. I'm so sorry. But offer testing innovation, I think this is really important for especially agency owners now, is we have to start changing the way we can present our offer or what we're trying to charge for in new ways. This also will help you sound different, right? So here's 3 of my favorites. There's a give them and keep them. So this is essentially of going like, okay, is there a part of my service that is more wanted, but another part of my service that has better economics? Easy one is Facebook ads, email marketing. Email marketing has a way better LTV, right? Those people are staying on way longer, and frankly, it's way easier. But everyone wants Facebook ads, right? So could you do essentially where you include Facebook ads, you include email, so that when you do email with our company, we give you Facebook ads for free, right? The big thing there is that lo and behold, 5 months down the road, Facebook ads doesn't work. They want to end the service. Cool, they've never been paying for it anyway. Now they'll have to say, do they want to cancel email? And if you're doing well, it's a much safer thing for your company. So it's a great way of like, give them what they want, but actually get what your company wants and what's better for your company, right? So that's one easy offer to do, is what can you give them that they already want? If you're a creative agency, content agency, give them, you were just talking about this actually, it's like, give them the content, Facebook ads is free. Cool, when Facebook ads sucks, they still got the content, right? Next one, understand present bias and hyperbolic discounting. So this is just realizing how humans think by nature. Signing long-term contracts for getting more benefits up front. People are short-term creatures. This is why they don't invest in the stock market, they don't do real estate, because we're all thinking about the short-term gain of what we get now. Cell phone companies are very aware of this. Sign this contract and get a free phone. That's a 4-year contract. They're just using the ability for us to think short-term and doing what's best for them long-term, right? It's the same thing for you guys. There's 2 different ways you can do this. Increase value, which here's an example of using it. For a 4-month contract with Human Media is only $8,000. Sign a 6-month contract with Human Media and you'll get Google and Facebook for $8,000. It's a 33% increase in revenue for me. For you, it's the same price and you get more service. Which one do you want to do? One, you're removing the Hobson's choice, which is what I think Peter was talking about earlier. But when you give them one option to choose, they're questioning, do I want this or do I not? When you give them 2 or 3 options to choose, it's not do I want it, do I not, it's which option do I want, right? So in your sales, give them multiple options. Get them to stop thinking about do I want to work with them or not, it's which one of these packages I think would work best for me. So we like to do that. So that's increasing value. If you want to increase cash for your company, then you can go this route. Pay 3 months up front and get 1 free, right? If you want it's a 4-month contract, but if you pay 3 months up front, you'll be shocked at how many businesses actually will take that deal because they don't like the thought of paying every month. They would actually rather pay a lump sum up front than pay it over a term of contract. It's weird. Try it. It's seriously. But if you want to increase cash, hyperbolic discounting, this is something that people will do because they feel like they're getting something immediately when they pay you that cash, right? Last one, loss aversion bias. It's another psychological thing that people have. Loss aversion bias, essentially the pain of losing something is greater than the pleasure you get from gaining something, right? So you losing $100 is much more painful of an experience than the pleasure you get from gaining $100. right? It's just how we as humans think. So doing that, one of the things that we've loved doing actually is for our clients who, they all sign 4-month contracts, but on month 3, we will email them and say, you have a credit on your account. Use it before it expires. The credit will be something simple like $2,500. But now they can use the credit on a creative package that normally costs $4,000. Now they have a $2,500 thing. They want to use it before their contract expires, which is in 30 days. And now we have the ability to cross-sell them into our other services. Maybe they need new creative. Maybe they want to try email. Maybe they want to do a new channel for paid traffic. They can use that credit. And it's not a discount. It's very different. A credit is something you feel like you own. And if you don't use it, it gets taken away from you. A discount is something you have a choice to access or use. So start using credits. So for increasing cash, what you can do is either cross-sell into other services, or if you want to increase value, essentially what you want to do is really, it builds loyalty and reciprocity. So what we found is that the people who use these credits actually like our brand more because it feels like we did something for them, even though all we did was increase their customer value. And it's the perfect time to ask for referrals after they've used the credit. Because there's now a level of like, we've given you something that you weren't expecting, and now you want to do something more for us. So credits have been really, really cool. Those are the 3 secret sauces. But just start thinking about creative ways. How can I offer things differently, package things differently?